Hi, boys and girls. Today I'm going to read a story to you called The Digestive System. It's not actually a story, but it is a nonfiction story. Today, when we read this text, we are going to be really focusing in on the important jobs of the organs of the digestive system. The digestive system helps you process the food that you eat. It goes in our mouth and eventually it comes out in the bathroom. So our job is to use some text features of this book to help us really understand the important jobs of the 6 main organs of the digestive system. You can use this video to help you prepare for your writing task. Your writing task is going to choose either the small intestines or the stomach and tell me about their important job. Today I'm going to read to you about all 6 of the organs' important jobs, but while you're reading and listening with me, I want you to really focus in on the stomach or the small intestine. You get to choose what you want to write about. Let's begin. The Digestive System by Christine Taylor Butler. Find the truth. True or false? Your small intestine is about 5 feet long. True or false? An acid strong enough to dissolve metal helps you digest food in the stomach. I wonder. Ooh, I love this text feature. This is the table of contents. I see Chapter 1 is titled It's a Gas. Chapter 2 is titled Your Food Processor. Chapter 3 is titled Digestive Disorders. Chapter 4 is titled Call the Experts. Chapter 5 is titled Fit for Life. Now, we want to read about the organs in the digestive system. Which chapter do you think we should turn to learn specifically about the organs that process the food in your body? If you said Chapter 2, you are right. We're going to turn to Chapter 2, Your Food Processor. Why is chewing so important is what we're going to start with on page number 13. So now I'm going to go to the bottom of my page here and look closely for page number 13. Okay, we made it to 12. Okay, great. Chapter 2, Your Food Processor. Your digestive system has an important job. It breaks down food into tiny pieces. The nutrients, vitamins, and minerals in the food can pass into your bloodstream to be used by your body. Your digestive tract contains of 6 main parts: the mouth, the esophagus, stomach, small intestine, large intestine, and rectum. Each part has its own task. Now, this is the perfect place for us to start because a task is another word for a job. So remember, while we read the next few pages, your job is to focus on the job of each of these organs. Remember, when you do your writing task, you get to choose if you want to write about the small intestine or the stomach. So while you're reading along with me today, make sure you're really focusing in on the stomach or the small intestine. Whatever you choose is the more important organ to you. Okay, page number 14. Now I'm going to zoom in so you can read along with me. Okay, the heading of this page is Chew on This. Your body begins to break down or digest food as soon as it enters your mouth. Teeth break up the food into smaller pieces. Saliva is the liquid in your mouth. It is produced by salivary glands. It contains chemicals called enzymes. These start to break down starches in your food even before it's swallowed. Saliva also contains a lot of water, which mixes with the food. This helps the food slide down your esophagus smoothly. Muscles around your esophagus squeeze or contract in waves. This action pushes food down the esophagus to your stomach. Here's a drawing or a diagram of your mouth. Here's the caption of this drawing. Your front teeth cut and slice food. Your back teeth mash the food. So if you notice here, these are a little bit sharper, these front teeth, compared to your back molars. So I see here that these front teeth are sharp and these bottom front teeth are sharp. And that's why they are the ones that cut and slice your food. But here, your molars, they're kind of more flat and square, and they mash up your food into smaller pieces. Mash it up. This caption says, let me zoom out. This caption says, your body makes more than 1 quart or almost a full liter of saliva each day. Mashed food inside your esophagus is called bolus. So, if we take a look at this boy, he looks like he's eating a great sandwich. His sharp teeth here are the ones that are going to initially start by mashing up the food into smaller pieces. Then this big muscle here, that's his tongue. So his tongue and this has the saliva glands that are going to let all this spit out. And then you can see here this blue looking thing, that's the food after it was chewed up. So all of your mouth muscles and teeth push the food back down. Now we know the esophagus is a tube-like organ. And here, the pink tube is the esophagus right here. So we're going to take that mashed up food and take it down the esophagus. Now, I didn't know this, friends, but look, I see some salivary glands, or places where saliva comes, in the back of your mouth. I guess that helps the food slide down this tube so it can get to your stomach. Okay, don't drink this juice. Your stomach is made of strong muscles. It can stretch to hold about 3 pints of food at a time. When your food enters your stomach, the muscle squeeze and mash your food into smaller and smaller pieces. The cells lining your stomach release the liquid called gastric juice. It contains enzymes and hydrochloric acid. This acid is strong enough to dissolve metal. A mucus lining protects your stomach from the acid. Wow, that was really interesting about the stomach. I'm going to just let this page look like this, and if you need to, you can pause this page to help you learn more about the stomach muscles and the really important job it has in our digestive tract. Okay, now I'm going to move on to the small intestine page, but if you need to pause this and see it again, go right ahead. Here's another diagram that kind of talks about what happens in the stomach. How the stomach digests food. 1. It takes 5 seconds for a piece of food to reach your stomach. 2. Food enters the stomach. Gastric juices break down the proteins. So here's your esophagus, here's your stomach, and this is the connector to the small intestine. Okay, so this whole part is the stomach. This is kind of the entryway from the esophagus, and this is the exit to your small intestine. So when your food, little tiny food particles come in through the esophagus, here's your gastric juices that kind of just help it dissolve and break apart. Okay, let's move down to the rest of this diagram. Step 3 in the stomach, it says the stomach walls contract. Remember, that's when your muscle is moving up and down, squishing the food. The digestive food turns into chyme. Everybody say the word chyme with me. Chyme is this liquid that's a mix of your food and your gastric juices, and it's all broken up, starting to digest. Then number 4. The sphincter opens to let small amounts of chyme pass. So we create the chyme in our stomach, and then it passes along to the next organ. Who remembers the next organ? If you said small intestine, you are right. Gastric juice begins to break down proteins. Proteins are found in foods such as meat, cheese, and eggs. Food stays in your stomach for 2 to 5 hours. Once it mixes with gastric juice, it is called chyme. The stomach releases chyme In the duodenum, this is the first part of the small intestine. A muscle called a sphincter relaxes to let a little chyme pass through. The sphincter then squeezes tightly to keep the rest in your stomach. So it's kind of like if you imagine a squeaky toy where you can squeeze it and some air comes out. It's kind of like your muscle squeezes together like that, lets some of the chyme out to the small intestine, and then still has some food back inside your stomach. Next stop is your small intestine. See where this purple arrow is pointing? Here's your small intestine. We learned in our other lesson that it's kind of funny it's called the small intestine because it's super, super long. This wider intestine is called the large intestine. It is shorter than the small intestine, but it is wider. You can see it kind of looks thicker or wider. Okay. It says if you stretched out your small intestine, it would be almost 20 feet long. Whew. It's small but long. The small intestine is where most food leaves your digestive tract and enters your bloodstream. Wait a second, that's so important about the small intestine. Let's reread that sentence. The small intestine is where most food leaves your digestive tract and enters your bloodstream. Before this happens, the food is broken down even further. Organs such as your pancreas, gallbladder, and liver help this digestion happen. That sounds so important for the job of the small intestine. Wow, this small intestine seems like super, super essential for your digestive system to work properly. Your pancreas squirts fluid into the duodenum. The fluid is rich in enzymes that break down fats, proteins, and starches. The fluid also contains a chemical that makes chyme less acidic. It is called sodium bicarbonate. Your gallbladder adds a liquid called bile to the chyme. Bile helps break up blobs of fat so that enzymes can get to it more easily. Bile is made of liver and it's stored in the gallbladder. So this is a lot more details about what happens in the small intestine. We don't need to know and memorize all the jobs of the liver or the gallbladder or the pancreas, but this is important information to help you understand how the small intestine works. The small intestine sounds like it needs a strong team of other organs to help make our digestive happen. The small intestine has many folds. It is lined with millions of finger-shaped bumps called villi. This creates a huge surface area that can absorb large volumes of food quickly. Tiny blood vessels inside the villi absorb the nutrients straight into your bloodstream. Wow, this is super important about the small intestine also. I'm seeing here in this text that the small intestine absorbs all the nutrients into the bloodstream. That means you can get all the healthy nutrients from your healthy fruits and vegetables that you eat. This sounds super important of the small intestine. Here is a zoomed up picture. It is very, very, very zoomed in about what it looks like in your small intestine. So imagine we have a magnifying glass that's zooming in and in and in and in all the way behind your belly button and noticing what your organ looks like. This says it's the wall of your small intestine, okay? That's kind of like the inside of the tube. These things are the parts of your body that absorb the nutrients. Absorb means to soak up, kind of like how a sponge can soak up liquid or water. It's kind of like the job in your small intestine soaks up all the good parts of your healthy food that you're eating. Nutrient-rich blood goes from your small intestine to your liver. The liver converts the nutrients into substances needed by your body. It stores some nutrients. It releases them into the blood when they are needed. The liver also breaks down harmful substances such as alcohol. Eating fruits and vegetables is good for your liver. They contain enzymes, vitamins, and fiber that help with digestion. All right, here's almost at the end of our studies of the jobs of the organs in the digestive tract. By the time the food reaches the end of the small intestine, most of the nutrients have been absorbed. The parts that your body can't use pass into your large intestine. This intestine is only 5 feet long. However, it is 3 to 4 inches wide. The large intestine is also called the colon. It absorbs minerals and water from indigestible food. This makes a waste more solid. Lumps of solid waste are called feces. Muscles push the feces along the colon to the rectum. They remain there until you go to the bathroom. And that's the end of our study of the important parts of the digestive system. I wanted to give you a view of this important diagram before we close out our lesson on this video. Here is some pictures of your digestive tract. The digestive tract is like a long, winding tube. It is helped by other organs in the body, such as the liver. So remember, our 6 important parts that we're studying are first the mouth, then the esophagus, next the stomach, then from the stomach it passes into your food, and bile and chyme passes into the small intestine. Then the small intestine and the large intestine are connected over here, and it goes through your large intestine. And then finally your food leaves the rectum. Kind of reminds me of a really long slip and slide. If you're going down a big long slide you have to go up and down and flip upside down, all these crazy different tracks. That's what the digestive system reminds me of. Thanks for learning with me today, friends. Remember, you are going to choose if you want to write about the small intestine or the stomach. Thanks so much for working hard today.